Politics, commentary, entertainment, sports, news and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
I am very optimistic about Iraq. I think it's going to be one of the great achievements of this administration. You're going to see 90,000 American troops come marching home by the end of the summer. You're going to see a stable government in Iraq that is actually moving toward a representative government.
All right, that was, of course, Joe Biden, and that was a couple of years ago, actually, I think 3 years ago, on with Larry King, and boy, was he a bad predictor of where we are. Rich Lowry, editor-in-chief of National Review, joins us right now. Hey, Rich.
Hey, Steve.
How are you? Good to talk to you. Great editorial in your publication online, The Crisis in Iraq, and how dithering is deadly. We could get a description of dithering, a definition of dithering from Webster's, but I'd rather have you give one. This is, as we've been discussing all day and all day yesterday, this is not just, oh, Obama screwed up again. This is a very serious concern.
Yeah, it's a complete debacle. It's just unbelievable. I mean, no one serious believed what Vice President Biden and President Obama were saying 3 years ago, because it was clear we had taken the riskiest possible course at a time when we'd achieved stability in Iraq, but a very fragile stability. And now the worst has come in the way many, many people had predicted. And you have, Al-Qaeda basically in Mosul and preparing to make a move on Baghdad. Now, whether they can take Baghdad, I sort of doubt, because I think it will very quickly break down along sectarian lines there in Baghdad, and they may take the western suburbs that are more Sunni, but they're going to have real trouble doing anything in the more Shia areas. But we could see the effect of breakdown of the Iraqi state and a kind of lawless sectarian civil war burning on, even worse than it was in 2006 prior to the surge. So it's just extremely depressing.
Well, what could and should, albeit too late at this point, Barack Obama do after he, as he put it today, meets over the next couple of days with his military advisors, as if he needs that much time to form a plan?
I think probably to affect the situation in a serious way, you'd have to do boots on the ground, and I just don't see that happening. And even if you did, I think it would be a very dubious proposition, because we held this together when we had more than 100,000 guys on the ground, and we were able to fight this two-front war against Sunni militants and Shia militants. At the same time, we were restraining Maliki and forcing him to be as responsible as someone like him can be. And are we really going to be able to do that, with 5,000 troops or 10,000 troops at this juncture when things are completely unspooling? I'm still thinking my way through this as a policy matter as well, but that just seems a really dubious proposition. So this thing is a product of American passivity. It started in Syria, where we refused to try to create and support a decent third force among the opposition. So you have the radicals taking over there, and now spilling into Iraq, and now they've taken back Fallujah and Anbar, and now they're in Mosul and in a position to threaten Baghdad, and it's just unbelievably heartbreaking.
It really is, and I can't even imagine being the Gold Star family of one of these soldiers who died in taking those cities, or someone who served and suffered a serious injury or lifelong injury, and seeing that those flags flying over those cities must be just devastating to them, more so than to you and I. But you talk about, or your staff talks about in the piece, the hand-wringing of this administration, how they love to do that. But there is no time for the dithering here, and that's why I'm so annoyed that the president, at least, first of all, what he should have done was take some action, or not tell us he's taking action, and then we'll all be surprised that he's taking the action. But he doesn't have that in him, I don't think. So I think when he says over the next few days he'll talk to his military people and decide what to do, I got to take him at his word. And when you talk about that, as you point out in the piece, every second that passes by is getting not only later and later, but much too later and much too later. And soon it's going to be symbolic in nature, whatever action they take.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend who's a real expert in this area and has been engaged in Iraq just for years and years now, and he thinks the most likely course for the administration is they'll basically do nothing and farm it out, in effect, to the Iranians. You know, the Iranians are already, the reports are flowing forces into Iraq, and they'll fight these Sunni radicals. Of course, they're Shia radicals and really know better, but the administration will talk itself into kind of treating them as quasi-allies. And again, Steve, just given what we had achieved or on the cusp of achieving, it's really just gut-wrenching what's happening here. And okay, you're Barack Obama. You never supported the war. You know, it was a big opposition to it. It was a big part of your political appeal. You've made certain commitments in the campaign, but still, when you get in the Oval Office and you're sitting in that chair, you're the commander-in-chief, you're the president of the entire country, and this has been a national effort, whether you like it or not, a national effort where blood and treasure has been expended. You don't just wantonly throw it away for a talking point, and that's basically what he did. Now, there's a lot of blame to go around here, and you know the lion's share of it goes with Nouri al-Maliki, whose misrule has been catastrophic and has really brought this on himself. But our complete pullout was a predicate for him working off of his worst instincts. Because while we were there, there are two sides to Maliki. One is he's a sectarian, and the other is that he has this fear and paranoia of the Sunnis, because he figures they're going to conspire against him and eventually march on Baghdad the way it's happening now. When we were there, we could reassure him that, no, the Sunnis aren't going to march on Baghdad while we're here, and two, restrain his worst sectarian instincts. And both of those are no longer there, and over the last couple of years, and it's just the predicate for the disaster has been building month by month.
Rich, great editorial. Everybody check it out, National Review online, and we always enjoy talking to you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Have a great weekend.
Rich Lowry, you too, Editor-in-Chief of National Review. It is, what can I say that hasn't been said? I just wonder how this will play out. When and if this administration does decide to do something, will he go to the Rose Garden and announce it? We're gonna launch missile strikes, or we're gonna start bombing in 10 minutes, or how's it going to be played out? And again, the longer we go along, and this isn't me, I'm not a military expert, I just have common sense, but the military experts we've talked to confirm, the longer you wait, the harder it is to do anything of significance with missile strikes or air support, because everything is so spread out by now, it's only going to get worse. All right, we're coming back. Rita Cosby, a very special friend, joins us. Don't go away.